I'm working on a big Chinese elm today, Ulmus parvifolia. It's a pretty common tree planted in our areas, and it's a tree that gets pruned horribly so often. Everywhere I look in this tree was just cut off with a chainsaw, stubbed back severely, and this is what happens. You got an old cut here, you got an old cut here, you probably got one buried in here, got a cut out over here. So it just creates more and more and more growth. And these branches get really heavy when the seeds get fully mature on here, and you have 5 times as many branches on this as the tree should have normally. Then things start breaking. It's a strong tree, but it's also a very brittle tree. And interestingly, we asked the client, the last time you trimmed this, was it trimmed pretty hard? And he says, oh yeah, I loved it. It was great. I lifted it up. I had so much light. I mean, he thought it was such a positive, but now we're dealing with this giant mess. I mean, we're getting close to being done now. We've done so much interior stuff, but now I got to get out on all of these ends and lighten this up. I mean, look at this one right here. When you have one stubbed off branch right there, now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus a bunch of little ones. The same as this one over here. You got stubbed off, now you got all those branches, and that was stubbed off. So every time this tree gets stubbed and stubbed and stubbed, it just becomes a mass of end weight. And ironically, the tree looks pretty good from a distance. So that's why people think that what was done to it in the past must be right. So what do I do here? This is a heavy side, so I think I want to make a big chainsaw cut all of this off, and lighten up this side dramatically. Get rid of all these, get rid of all these lower sprouts in here, and then get out there and start cleaning up some of that mess. A lot of these stubs, they're rotting. And you can see there's a little bit of cambium activity here with both of these stubs right here. As they rot, they get down into this portion of the tree. So in time, making these big stub cuts throughout the tree leads to a weakness right here, which causes all of this to dry out and die back. So there's a right way and a wrong way, and the quick, cheap way is not always the answer. So here's what I did to this area. I left 2 primary limbs on this, but here's that one dead piece that I was talking about, how it rots and works its way all the way back in. So this has decay that spreads all the way back into here. So eventually, because of this bad initial stub cut, this whole limb is going to start to rot back. You can't fix that, there's no solving that. I took the lower part off here, and you can see there isn't any decay in that one right there. Hopefully that'll get absorbed. I took all the small branches off, but it's really hard to trim a Chinese elm and make it look good.
I didn't include a before picture, but this tree was all the way hanging on the roof and hanging down everywhere. So our job was not only to make it safe, but to make it raised up so they can live with it. This is interesting. This branch was actually supporting the branch up above it. And I started a cut on it, and as soon as I did it, the upper branch moved down quite a bit. You can see, if you look closely there, you can see the scar where the lower branch was supporting the upper branch. I was actually nervous that was going to break when I released the lower branch. So I got up there and I looked at it, and you have to understand that this tree was severely lion's-tailed at one time with a chainsaw. So all of the balanced lower growth was removed, and everything is out on the very tips, which means that it is much more likely to break. If you look down into the tree there, we did clean out all the epicormic growth and the branches that were hanging on the building and over the road. But now it becomes a matter of managing the weight on the ends. So, we have to make tree decisions. We have to make, projections. You can see the mass of foliage here. You can see how much is up there. But you'll see in a few seconds here what the tree looks like from the inside. and how all this growth is all out on the very ends. And this is a fairly brittle tree. They break during wet periods or windy periods. I always like to look around the neighborhood when I'm up high in the bucket. I frequently will go up to the top, and I notice this group of redwoods off in the distance. And we talk about redwoods a lot, how they're declining. But look at that redwood over on the left. Somebody topped that tree, or possibly the top broke out a long time ago. Okay, so we're still working on the tree. I've still got a little bit more. You know, all the epicormic growth was half dead and half alive. These little suckers are never going to turn into real branches. So we're getting close now. We've got quite a bit more. The client really needed more light. So we're trying to find the balance between meeting the needs of the client and what's right for the tree. I usually take what the tree needs first. So a lot of these videos that I do, I title them tree decisions. And what I mean by tree decisions is, what do we have to figure out when we get started on a tree? How do we evaluate that individual tree to figure out what it needs? And it goes a long ways. It goes to looking at what has happened to the tree in the past. I don't ever know who trims the tree, but it's pretty obvious to me sometimes, that many of the trees get pruned improperly. So the whole point of this video is to help you figure out the decisions that you have to make on the trees that you're intending to prune. But ask yourself, why am I pruning the tree in the first place? What has been done to it in the past? And most importantly, how much should you take off to keep it safe? All right, thanks for watching my videos. And if you like my channel, do me a favor and buy me a coffee. There, it's getting closer to being done. And that's what it looks like on the inside. Thanks for watching.